Hey everyone, welcome back to Decorate with Dana. So I want to start off first by apologizing for my lack of videos the past few weeks. If you have been here for a while, you know I wanted to paint my kitchen cabinets, and I did, and I love them, and that's what this video is all about. I want to go through step by step exactly what I did and what I learned along the way to maybe make it easier. But it was a lot of work, and it took a lot of patience, because a lot of it, it's not hard work. I think anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But it was just, it took a lot of time because everything has to dry for so long. And one thing I did know was that I did not want to rush this process, because I only want to do it once. I don't want to do it again. I don't want to have to keep fixing stuff. I wanted to give it my all, do my best, and take my time and just try to get it to come out the best I could, so that I have, long lasting, beautiful looking cabinets. So I hope that it works out that way. I definitely took my time. I probably did overkill on some steps, but I just wanted to make sure they were prepped and, really just ready. So my intention was to spray the cabinets, but here in good old Capital District, New York, Albany, New York area, the pollen count decided to spike right when I was going to take those cabinets outside and spray them. I couldn't spray them in the garage because of overspray. I obviously can't do them in the house. So we were waiting for a really calm, day that was just not humid and perfect. And that just was not going to happen, because the pollen count just skyrocketed. It's still really high, and I would have had white fuzzy things and a yellow film all over my cabinets, and I was not going to do that. So I did end up rolling them and using a brush, and they really came out amazing. So, I delayed for a month waiting for the sprayer to be delivered, and I didn't even end up using it, but that's totally okay. We're going to keep it because it's good for furniture and stuff. So we're going to keep it. But anyways, I'm so excited to share it with you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, we'll look at a couple of before pictures. I'm going to show you the process, and then I'm going to show you, so wait all the way till the end and you'll see the final reveal. So if you guys do remember, a few, probably 2 months ago or so, I painted the backsplash and I added some new light fixtures. So that totally changed the kitchen look already. But now the kitchen looks like a totally different kitchen. It doesn't look the same. I love it. So let's get going. I'm going to show you everything I use. I'm going to show you the process. Please know I am not an expert. Besides I did the laundry room and I did my couple dining room cabinets, that is the first cabinets I've ever painted. So I watched tons of videos, and I never followed one set video. I would piece together different videos on what worked for me. I got my paint at Sherwin. They were amazing at helping me out too, and really just guiding me. So I just watched tons of videos, did lots of research, and just kind of pieced together what worked for me. So I'm going to share it with you guys, and I hope you enjoy this video.
So here is a picture of the kitchen before. This was before we even did phase 1 of the renovation. You can see how dark it looks. And then phase 2, we decided to paint the backsplash and add some new light fixtures. And that alone drastically changed the look of the kitchen.
So I wanted to go over everything that I used for the cabinets. So I am going over what I used for the dining room cabinets, and then I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the island because I love the way it turned out. This is how the island turned out. I have not done any of the other cabinets back there, but I am in love with this. But anyways, I'm going to show you all the products that I used. So I tried to gather everything first so that I wasn't scrambling around looking for anything. So this is just how I did it. I am not a professional. I just did a ton of research, and so far I've had the dining room cabinets and this island come out perfectly. So this is how it's going to be to roll them. Now the rest of these kitchen cabinets, because there are so many of them, sorry for the mess over there, it's all my other painting supplies, but because there are so many of them, we're gonna spray them. So that process, for the most part, is gonna be the same, other than instead of rolling, we're gonna be spraying. But if anything changes, I'll definitely, once I finish the kitchen, give an updated, you know, video on if I did anything different other than what was there. Okay, so first I used the Crud Cutter degreaser. You can use any degreaser. This is just what they had at Lowe's. And then kind of overkill, but I wanted to just make sure I did too much instead of not enough. I used this liquid sandpaper also. So I would degrease and then I used the liquid sandpaper. So I used this roller by Purdy. I got these at Lowe's. And then this is the Purdy Jumbo Parrot roller. It's for the mirror finish, a 1/4 inch nap, and this is like the 4.5 inch roller size. And these worked great. I did get these at Sherwin-Williams, and then I ordered some on Amazon. I could not find this particular one at Lowe's. And then I just have a little roller pan here. I just wash these out. You can throw them out if you want, but they're plastic. They're easy to wash out. So I just I have one of those. And then I used a 2-inch angled brush, and I also have a 1.5 inch to get into like the details of the cabinet doors. So, sorry. So definitely the angled brushes help really get into the corners and everything. And then as far as sandpaper is concerned, I didn't use the 1500, but I used a 600 grit sandpaper. I used 120 grit sandpaper, a 220 grit sandpaper. These are the sanding blocks. I actually prefer the angled sanding blocks a little bit better, but they didn't have any left, so I do have these. They'll still work. For the big part of the sanding, I used these two sanders. This is a little Ryobi sander. These are really inexpensive. I use this one if I'm doing it outside on the doors. And then this one is a really nice DeWalt orbital sander. And this one I would do inside because this kind of catches the bulk of the dust. And my husband also told me you can hook this up to a vacuum cleaner. So it really didn't leave a ton of dust around though. And it just helped get, especially the island where there was so much surface area, it would have taken me forever to hand sand it with a sanding block. As far as the cabinets, I might just be able to do a sanding block, but I probably won't, just not the doors, but the actual base. I probably won't. I probably will still use the orbital sander because it's so much quicker. I had the whole island sanded in 20 minutes. But you definitely don't need it. You can do everything by hand with just sanding blocks if you want to. And then I always just have blue tape to tape off around where you don't want to get paint. I have some bumpers for the cabinet doors. So the paint I used is from Sherwin-Williams, and I used the Xtreme Bond Primer. It is amazing. It worked so well. Within an hour or two of painting it, it takes about 4 hours to totally dry. Within an hour, you could touch it and scrape it with your fingernail and it would not come off at all. And then I used the Emerald, that one's a little dirty, the Emerald Urethane Trim Enamel Paint by Sherwin-Williams. I did do a semi-gloss and I'm really happy I did because it really doesn't look too glossy and it's easier to clean, but you can do, well, you could do any finish you want, but satin or semi-gloss or gloss are really better because they are easier to clean. And the person that helped me at Sherwin-Williams told me that the higher the gloss, the more durable the paint is. So I didn't want full-on gloss, but I did go with semi-gloss and I'm really happy I did. So then I just have a paint stick and a rubber mallet for closing the paint cans. So then I just have like an electric screwdriver, a handheld one for putting the hinges back on the doors and removing the actual cabinet doors. I have a tack cloth. They come in a pack of 2. I hate the way these feel, so I use rubber gloves, but you don't have to. But this just takes off any dust or sand that's left on the cabinet doors. And then this is hardware I used. I love this. I finally ordered on Amazon. I had gone to Lowe's to get some other cabinet hardware, and it was so expensive. For each one, it was about $5. These come out to be about $2.50. I love the like matte black finish. And you know, I just couldn't be happier with this hardware and for a fraction of the cost of what it would have been from Lowe's. So I will have those linked down in my Amazon store. I'll have whatever I can linked down in my Amazon store if you're interested. And then these are just the little bumpers like this for inside the door. So it, you know, just keeps it from nicking up the base of the cabinet. So I got these. And then, like I said, blue tape. So this is basically everything that I need to use to do this project. If you had not a single tool at all and you wanted to use all these tools, I would say this project would cost you $500 or under. We had all the sanders. My husband had a lot of sandpaper. I already had the degreaser and the liquid sandpaper. So I really only had to buy the paint and the tack cloths and some sandpaper, the sanding blocks and stuff, but you know, and the rollers. I would say this project cost me under $400, which is just a fraction of the cost of the $3,000 plus estimate that I had gotten to have it professionally done.
So the most important thing to do as you're removing your cabinet doors is just to label what door goes with what cabinet. This is super important. Then there's no guessing when it comes back to putting everything back on. I also label what hinge goes where, if it's the upper hinge or the lower hinge to the door. You'll see a little bit more how I do that here in a minute.
So I keep the screws right in there and this screw in here. And then I take a piece of blue tape and I tape it all so it stays together. So I know that this is because the handle's here, this is the upper hinge. So I'm just gonna write up here, upper right. And then I'm going to write in here, because I won't need to paint this because the hinge is gonna sit down in there. I'm gonna write upper right here also. Take a small Ziploc bag and I'm gonna write C1, and then this is the right door. And I'm gonna put these in here. And then I will just place them on one of the shelves right in that cabinet so that these hinges will always go with this door. So then I just wanted to remove the hardware. I'm actually not reusing this hardware, so we'll try to sell it on like Facebook Marketplace or something. So you just want to remove the hardware, and then around on the front side is really where you're going to want to clean a lot and make sure you degrease, just because constantly grabbing the cabinet doors. And so these cabinets where they're going to sit are not going to be as greasy, of course, as the ones by the stove, but I still just extra degrease them and degloss them to make sure they're really clean.
So now I'm going to go ahead and start on degreasing. I am using the crud cutter first, and I spray that on, and then I will start sanding and then use the liquid sandpaper. So this is where I kind of changed it up. These were the first cabinets I did. And instead of using also the liquid sandpaper, I found that what worked best was using the crud cutter, degreaser, and then using a magic eraser with it. It took off everything that could possibly leave a film on the cabinet doors. It kind of saved me a step of also using the deglosser. I didn't need it because I was sanding also. So you could just use the crud cutter degreaser and get a bunch of magic erasers, and it did a great job of making sure there was no film left on the cabinets. So here I'm using that little sander, and I'm using my 120 grit sandpaper, and you're just looking to take off the glossiness. You're not looking to bring up a bunch of bare wood or anything. You just want to take the glossiness off. And then that's where the Xtreme Bond Primer really does a good job, because if there is any spots that you missed taking off the glossiness, the primer is meant to stick to that so that the paint will then adhere well to the cabinets. So this step is crucial and it's super important. Now I am just showing you here me doing the cabinet doors, but I do the exact same process with the inside base. I just didn't want to, I wanted to save you guys from having to watch all that. I'm just really showing you on the doors, but everything I'm doing on the doors, I am also doing inside on the base. So this little handheld blower, my husband had it in the garage. I swear my garage is like Home Depot. If you name it, we have it. So this is obviously not something I named in the beginning that you have to have, because you definitely do not have to have it. It just made it a lot easier to get a lot of the bulky part of the dust off. So again, this is where I'm using that deglosser also, but you can, if you just use the crud cutter and the magic eraser, you can just skip this step. This ended up being an extra step that I did not need to take. So like I said, I just wanted to give you guys an idea so that maybe you can learn from some of my, not really a mistake, but like an extra step that I really didn't need to take. Okay, so coming up here is where I'm going to be placing these little paint tripods. I did forget to name those in the beginning. Those are super important. I mean, you don't have to have them, but they do make it a lot easier to get along the sides when you're painting. So I do recommend those, but they are not a necessity. So now I'm just putting on my rubber gloves and using my tack cloth. I just can't stand the way this stuff feels. It like leaves a film on your fingers, so it drives me nuts, but you don't need to use rubber gloves if you don't want to. So this is nice because after that little blower, then this takes off any other remaining dust particles, so you get a nice smooth finish on your cabinets. So after this, I'm going to start priming with my Xtreme Bond Primer. This stuff is amazing. So when this dries, like I said, even after an hour, you can't scratch it. I can dig with my fingernails and you can't scratch it. So one thing I did learn, you'll see that I'm actually brushing on this primer. So the important thing about the primer is you just need everything to be covered. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. You just need every area covered. But what I did learn was after this set of cabinets, I learned to roll the primer on. A, it goes a lot faster. And B, the sanding that you have to do after the primer dries, you need to do a lot more if you've used a brush, because there's brush strokes that you want to kind of smooth flat, where if you roll it, it's already pretty flat and you can just lightly sand. So that was another thing I learned along the way. You certainly definitely could just brush it on, but it will give you a smoother finish at the end if you roll it on. So now I'm just taking a 220 sanding block and giving it a light sanding to smooth down any roughness from the primer. So after this, I will use a tack cloth to make sure there's no other sand particles stuck on there, and then I will bring the cabinets in my garage and give them a paint. So first I'm going to use my brush to get in any cracks and crevices, and then I'll use a roller to smooth it out, and I will end up doing 2 coats of paint on each side. So once the back side dries, you can flip it over, do the other side, and then wait a good 24 hours to do the next side. So this is basically the whole process to painting your cabinets and the bases. So once that is done and everything, I give everything a good 24 to 48 hours to cure before I ever even hang the cabinets back up. As a matter of fact, I probably gave them about 3 to 4 days each set to really make sure they were dry and set before I hung them up. So let's have one more look at the before we even painted the backsplash. Very dark the kitchen was. And then here it is after we painted the backsplash and added some new light fixtures. And now here is the reveal of what the kitchen looks like now. I just think it's drastically different and I love it.
Okay, so here is the reveal of the kitchen. If you guys can just tell, it looks so much brighter than it did before. I am just amazed at what paint can do and how it can 100% transform a room. Between painting the cabinets and then previously painting the backsplash, it looks like a totally different kitchen. So anyways, this is how everything turned out. If you can see, so the cabinets are, again, it's pure white by Sherwin-Williams. And the island is just the slightest bit of a contrast. It is Mindful Gray by Sherwin-Williams. It's just enough, so I don't know if you can see between the cabinet over there and the island, it's just enough to pull a little bit of gray in here, and I love it. I can't recommend enough this hardware from Amazon. It will be linked in my Amazon store. It is heavy, solid handles. I've read some reviews of some other ones that was saying that it was like hollow. These are not hollow. These are so heavy. And I had 48 cabinets and drawer fronts that needed to be painted. So I had to order 50 handles, and for all 50 handles, I think it came out to about $125 plus tax, which is like so inexpensive compared to if I went to Home Depot or Lowe's. These same type of handles would have been about $4 to $5 each handle. So always turn to Amazon if you don't like this style. They have a ton of other styles. So anyways, I am just so happy with, this was well worth all of the work. It was just a lot of work. It was a lot of work. It wasn't hard work. It was just a lot of work, and you needed a lot of patience. But I think it turned out great. I'm so pleased and so happy with it. The next thing we would do eventually is replace that refrigerator when the refrigerator dies. But otherwise, I am so happy with where we are at right now. I don't see any other, plans to do anything else in this room for quite a while. So anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for stopping by and checking out this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you are looking at any ways that you can paint cabinets, I am by no means, as I said before, an expert, but I learned a lot along the way, and I just wanted to share it with you and maybe some tips and tricks that could help you do it. If you can paint at all, anything, you can paint your cabinets. You just need time, and I definitely just did not want to overwhelm myself, so that's why I just did it in sections, which I highly recommend because, if you guys know, when you do one project in one room, it makes every other room a disaster, especially if you're doing the project in the kitchen, because this is like the main room that we all use in our house. So stuff was everywhere. So anyways, I'm just not showing you behind me because we have gotten a new table for back here, and I did this so budget friendly, this kitchen. I was gonna buy a new table and I didn't want to do that. I found one on Facebook Marketplace for $60. It was exactly what I was looking for. It just needed to be refinished and a little TLC. So that is my next video coming up here in just a couple days. And then, because as you can tell, there's no decorations in here right now besides the essentials, the fruit and the cooking supplies. There's really not much decorations. But then after I do the kitchen refinishing project, the thrift to treasure, then I will do a video where we decorate this whole space. So actually one thing I did want to share with you guys that I do have in here that is like decor, but it's a necessity, is our new phone charger. So Zen Charger reached out to me and wanted to send me this charger just to try. It's not sponsored. I love this. So I don't know about any of you, but we have, we always have a charger here in our kitchen. It's just where we all come in. If our phone is dead or whatever, we just throw it on a charger. And I never liked the looks of it, but it was kind of like a necessity that we needed. So this is like a little bit of everything. It's decorative, it's beautiful, and it charges our phones. It can charge your Apple or Samsung or whatever you have. So you would just put it on there and it starts charging. And I love that. So I am going to link Zen Charger's website down in my description box. Be sure to check them out. They're very reasonably priced, and I can't recommend it enough. It's both beautiful and functional. So anyways, thank you guys again so much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope it gave you a little bit of, you know, inspiration. If you're thinking about painting your cabinets, you definitely can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm gonna try to leave everything I can down in the description box, and anything I can link on Amazon will be linked down in my Amazon store in the link down in the description box, and I will put the paint colors that I used in the description box as well. I hope you guys all have a great day. If you are new, I hope you will consider subscribing. I will see you guys in my next video. Have a great day.